Esiku Dede Asikui. Hello everyone, it's Adirunke again. Today I'd like to tell you how to acknowledge, actually not how to acknowledge, how to acknowledge an emphasized statement. Someone has said something to you, they've emphasized it, and typically the way that we would emphasize statements in Yoruba pretty much are what is it called? There's a exclamation word. It's a letter, but it's also a word. It's o. If someone says something to you and they include o at the end, which means that they're emphasizing it, the generic response for that would be to repeat that exclamation as well, that o as well. So if someone says motideo, I gave that example in the o video in which I introduced the Yoruba exclamation word / letter. It's a word made up of a letter. O is what they would say when they want to emphasize. O is what you would say in return to acknowledge that many times it's a way to acknowledge and also return. A greeting is like, in acknowledging it, you're sharing that thing, that moment with that person, if it's a greeting. So let's say you say akwodu as opposed to akwodu. Even if you don't say o, the person may reply by saying o. So akwodu, no, I was going to leave the emphasis out. Akwodu, I can respond by saying o. And typically the way that it would go, it would be like, if you're going to write it, many times one o would not suffice. Sometimes you have to put the three o's anyway. O. Akwodu o. So o. When you put those three o's together to show that you are returning the greeting. Even typically when you just with tones, with Yoruba tones, if someone says akwodu and you just say oh, many times if it's that sharp, it could be, again, it's dependent on the tone. You can answer in such a way that you are just responding for responding's sake. So sometimes your tone, even if you say something, your tone would tell a Yoruba person something else. So sometimes people take their time to do o when they are writing, just so that it won't come off as sharp. What I'm saying is this: typically with the way that we talk, we expand the o. So o is what it will look like. Akwodu, you're saying felicitations on the festival or the new year or whatever festivity might be occurring. Is you're including them in whatever is going on. Then ku means something is going on. So it's like felicitations on this thing that we're both experiencing. Aku, eku. Many Yoruba greetings when it comes to festivals or parties or stuff would usually start with aku, eku, ku, oku, Anyway, typically in person, o is how you would respond. O. So many times in writing, you also have to include o like this. O, you don't have to, but it's a little bit more joyful if you say o as opposed to o. If you say o akwodu o, It's a little bit more joyful than akwodu o. It works. It's not rude or anything, but with Yoruba tones, how sharp your tone is or how expanded it is, how cheerful it is may determine what your real intention is. So if someone says akwodu and you say oh, in a sharp way, you're not necessarily sharing the you're not necessarily sharing that joy with them, and even if someone says oh, it still doesn't mean that they actually mean it. Sometimes oh can be said in a very sarcastic way. It depends on, many times your facial expression would also say something about how you feel. If someone comes to you, let's say you've had a rough day and someone comes to you and says "Eku igbadun," or "Eku gbadun," if you combine ku and igbadun, igbadun is enjoyment. Eku igbadun, you can say oh, in such a way like yeah, enjoyment indeed. So you can say oh, the tone and the gesture, even many times the posture will tell you. We don't just talk with words. I think that's one. I don't know if I've mentioned it anytime in the recent past, but Yoruba people don't just talk with words. Even if something means this in written form, when you're saying it or when you are, depending on your gesture, your tone, your posture, that thing may mean something else in response to the exact same statement or question. So that's just the Yoruba culture for you. But basically, if you want to acknowledge something that has a statement that has been emphasized, motideo, or it's a good way of, acknowledging that, not only acknowledging that, but celebrating that in some way. If someone says motideo have arrived and you just say oh, say you and your partner you had a hot argument in the morning and they left and they returned, you're still mad. Motideo have arrived, and you just say oh, like okay. Or even okay, what do you want me to do about that? Oh, it's just, if you say oh, it's still okay, but depending on how sharp you say the oh, motideo oh. Also the speed with which you respond, motideo oh. The sharpness, the quickness may mean that okay, maybe don't tell me, I don't care. I'm acknowledging you, but also letting you know that I don't care. When we say motideo oh, ọkọ mi má bínú àárọ̀, don't be mad about what I said in the morning or something, then that's is I don't want to say sincere. That's a good way of acknowledging what that person has said. So if someone says mark by deal, don't arrive late, you can say oh. So when you say oh, it's a little bit more cheerful. And when you write oh as well, when you type or write oh, it's a little bit more cheerful. But when you say oh, depending on the tone, it could be. So anyway, that's basically how to acknowledge and emphasize statements. Akwodu o, akoyedun o, emi asokwe o, makpede o. If someone says makpede, don't be late, and you say oh, you're actually saying, I've heard that. But when you just say oh, like I'm going to be late. I can't help it. Just mapade oh, you know, your tone, you talk with the whole of your body. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and I'll be more than happy to help. Enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.
abẹni ọmọrùn gbogbo wáyé lálẹ́ kojú òtòrí ìlú ọjà mọ lápá gbọgbọ lòdùmọ̀rọ̀ mú ọlọ́rọ̀ ọ̀dọ́ àjàkòdì ọba ní ògún ògbójú olóró tí jàpèjì obìnrin bádámú obìnrin gbàdámú obìnrin gbójú ọ̀nà ọkùnrin sá ooo obìnrin tó torí ogun tọ́lárùn mọ̀ sí lójoogbó èmi lè pín ọlọ́dẹ̀dẹ̀ mọ̀ eléyìí tí kó olódò odò lábẹ́ kojú ìyèmí àròdò dẹmú yẹn yẹ̀dẹ̀ lẹ́gbàá wọn lọ lókìtì ẹ̀kọ́.